One thing that I'm expecting different of, probably above everything else, is mental health stigma. Now, just about every mental health problem, there's a stigma about. Why? I don't know. Probably because people are crazy and don't even realize it. Or they just have the ideas reinforced that something called Big Pharma is some vast conspiracies meant to get kids addicted to Ritalin, which isn't even prescribed anymore. Or commonly now the trend is going after Adderall. Why? Because ADHD is one of the most common psychological disorders in America. A lot of people have it and they don't understand what it is. This bothers people because you know what happens when you have ADHD? Take it from me. You grow up being told you're lazy, you're dumb, you're ignorant, you just need to focus better. You're just doing everything wrong that for a lot of people, for about 75% of the population probably, things come easy for. Now, just really trying to explain any abnormal psychology in general is pretty difficult. And it's increasingly becoming more and more verifiable, though, through neuroscience, through things like neural imaging and other breakthroughs. Now, what I see on Facebook every day, instead of sharing, stuff like what the latest neuroscientists down in what do you call it? Penn, I don't know, MIT or some Israeli university or something. They're doing all the breakthroughs, in scanning the brain. Instead, you hear Big Pharma this, Big Pharma that. What's your kid's getting hooked on pills? People just because people churn out these articles. It's called pop science, but it's not even science, and it really shouldn't be popular. So leave it to me. I'm going to try to explain it to the best of my ability because I was a psychology major in college, and I studied neuroscience at a grad level. But I dropped out of college twice because I had ADHD, and I found it very difficult to succeed in these kind of goal-driven environments. So where do I begin? Let me explain the brain and the mind in a metaphor that I stumbled upon, and it seems to work. Imagine the brain, the way your mind works is they call the internet an information superhighway. Let's just imagine for a second your brain is an information superhighway. Because my God, the human brain is the most interesting, fast-paced, crazy thing to study about. That's what neuroscience is so interesting. And I don't know how much neuroscience people actually study before they click like and agree on something and share it with all their friends, even if they're the ones writing the content to begin with. So your brain there's called neural, instead of highways, exchanges, interstate, whatever, avenues, you have neural passageways, and they form neural synapses, which are the exchanges where people get on, get off. That's where your ideas, your feelings, your impulses, they're all electromagnetic. It's measurable. They can even put dye in people's brains and tell it what it is now. And people who have abnormal psychology, which is any kind of mental disorder, which once again, this is 25% of the population, and ADHD is probably the most common one, and it's easily detectable with a behavioral analysis of a kid. Also with autism and all this stuff, there's a lot of science behind it that people don't hear because it doesn't really fit into a podcast or a video or a little blog post you share on Facebook. So I'm going to do my best for the sake of people's minds to explain as much as I can. So this really goes to anything, because something, you don't have to have a mental disorder to have a dysfunctional brain. Everyone hears about drug addiction. I just watched a great Frontline documentary about the heroin problem in America. This is not just an American problem, it's around the world. The rate of heroin addiction is going up everywhere. People blame fucking white privilege on heroin, saying that it's just because the Dems are taking power back, that makes all the white men get addicted to heroin and die. No, it doesn't work like that. That's not how addiction works. Trust me, I'm smoking a cigarette inside as we speak. What addiction is, it's a mental, as people say, I studied sociology as well. They try to reinforce the idea with students that substance abuse is a mental illness. Now, let's explain what a mental illness actually is. Starting with because you know what my specialty is? Cognitive-Behavioral Science. Cognitive-Behavioral Neuroscience. You probably have heard the term CBT before. That means Cognitive Behavioral Therapy. It's basically someone that you talk to that says, what makes you upset? What makes you mad? What makes you irritated? What drives you crazy? And you talk it out with some professional, and they say, so when you do this, you feel that way. You know, when you don't get up on the right side of the bed, you ruin your day. So why don't you just, put your shoes on the other side, and you'll get up there, and you'll feel better for the rest of the day. Trust me, try it. Thank you, doctor. Wow, you saved my life, and now I'm a billionaire. That's what... It's just with little things, that build up over the course of the day. That's what CBT is, and that's what I'm going to try to explain in a way that makes sense with ADHD, because it's real, it's not a conspiracy. There's so much science going on with it. It's shocking to me that people have the balls to pass around this info and not hear it from a source. Now, I'm not a doctor, even though I go around Facebook saying I'm Dr. Dan, but I'm Dr. Dan. Instead of drinking 8 liters of sugar water a day, try water instead. It'll make your headaches go away, and you'll lose 200 pounds. Take it from me, although I gained a lot of the weight back, probably because I went off my ADHD meds and I started binge eating. Anyways, so what the main asset of the psychology of people and that therapists help you out with is establishing goal-oriented behavior. What exactly does that mean? It means, you have a task, you set your mind to a task, and you do it. You succeed at it, It's like the goalie, there's a goalie there trying to stop you from the goal, and you just juke and jive and kick the ball right in his fucking face, knock him out, and score a goal. That's what it's like succeeding at something. It feels good. Trust me, I was the goalie growing up. They called me the wall because I loved the feeling of denying that to people. But that was helped my team win, It was a team game. So is, how people think. That's why the whole reason I made this channel, and I hope you take me seriously and don't assume I'm autistic, ignorant, naive, retarded, or a propagandist or anything, when I'm just well educated, even though I never succeeded in school because I had ADHD. I'm trying to drop some knowledge bombs on people because, people on the TV don't seem to know what the fuck they're talking about either, probably for a reason. So now let's get back. Goal-oriented behavior. This can become, in a lot of people, very simplified because now, once again, let's go back to the metaphor of a neural highway. There's things that when you succeed at something, it's called a neurotransmitter. You get a rush of dopamine gets unleashed in your brain when you achieve a goal you set your mind to. The 2 most common neurotransmitters that I've come across in my research are dopamine and serotonin. People who are depressed take antidepressants to help regulate their serotonin because that's your general feel-good feeling. That's you can love the sunshine on your face, but brings out some of your serotonin. When it's the winter and it's gloomy out, or a rainy day, or all your friends will suddenly hate you and call you names all the time for no reason, then your serotonin inhibitors are being rebuked or something like that. So a lot of drugs are designed. SSRI is like a serotonin something receptor inhibitor in order to help regulate this, because that's what people who are crazy, who are emotional, or have problems in abnormal psychology, it's called, they just have problems regulating their neurotransmitters, which goes, and also emotions get attached to this, so they have problems with emotions, moods, goal-oriented behavior. This is this pattern of every mental disorder, not just ADHD, but I'm going to focus on that. So your goals, if you're a normal person, is to wake up, go to work, pet your dog or whatever, all that makes you feel good. You're living your life to its fullest because your brain is telling you, good job. It's more complicated than that, but you can simplify it to that. If you have a good routine, you eat well, you work out, you have a career that is fulfilling, you have a family that you love, or you're just some solitary guy in a troll den harassing everyone for the right reasons or the wrong reasons, whatever, this stuff makes you feel good. It's the goals you set out. That's because you're getting a rush of dopamine to your brain that, is rewarding your behavior. Just like petting a dog, when they do something good, you're getting reinforced in your brain with dopamine, and just this, yay, congratulations. All right, so now let's talk about when that gets denied. Imagine a lot of people my age, they play games like DOTA, League of Legends, whatever. I personally play Total War because I'm in a constant war high, because I'm one of the highest ranked players in the world. My name is Smooth Rich in that game. Everyone knows me because I'm always owning them. See me on the ladder at the top, or 1v1 me and Attila, whatever. You'll see. That's because I study Hannibal and Sun Tzu. They were experts in psychology as well. I learned a lot from them. Anyways, if you ever play a game of Dota or some other game that you like and you lose, wow, have you seen how people react? Have you heard the rage videos on YouTube? Have you ever read the comment sections or on the forums or whatever for a game, or ever watched the heartbreak? Or even if you're a real athlete and not a fake one, the people cry, people's lives are ruined. They get better the next day, but that's because the release of dopamine was denied to them, because they were denied a victory. Their goal wasn't reached. This is very upsetting to people for obvious reasons. But so that means you gain. So with the metaphor of the car, you get in your car, you're going down, you're owning mid, you just blasting your car, blasting the chip tunes or whatever you listen to. And then you make it around. This is the neural pathway that you're going. You're hitting all the synapses right. You're slam dunking. Then you make it home at the end, and you succeeded. So this is expanding your mind, the rush of victory. But if you do this too much, your brain is just going to start going, play another game of Dota. Play again. Want to play again. Want to play a game. Just because you have a little loop going around rewarding you. And you might be stuck binging on Dota for years before you realize it, because you established a goal-oriented behavior. Even if you get real good at a game, all you're doing is playing a game, and it's hard to apply those skills to real life unless you just study Hannibal and Personally, I'm a smoker, so almost everything feels unfulfilling unless I have a cigarette. That's because nicotine is one of the most addictive substances in the world. That's why America got strong in the first place, selling tobacco. But so everything is better because I get more, because this slides into my dopamine receptors, and it's hard for it to be released unless I have the smooth, refreshing, smooth, rich, and mellow. That's where my name is from. My internet name is from the cigarettes. The release of it, and it's real hard when you go off nicotine. You get full of rage, irritation. That's because your dopamine is not coming out. But it goes better when people say they're dried up from ecstasy or something and they're just a zombie. They're not. They're just depressed. They can take an they probably doing ecstasy in the first place because they were depressed and their serotonin was low. And actually, ecstasy is a good antidepressant, MDMA. Did you know that? Well, now you do. So maybe if you spent your teenage years doing ecstasy and you stopped and now you're depressed, why don't you see a psychiatrist instead and try some kind of new antidepressant, because then you'll get the same effect and none of the side effects, like, wearing stupid pants and liking disco music. So a goal-oriented behavior. Now, for a while, I could barely even play games. Maybe I could smoke weed or something when I used to do that, because that would help smooth out my neural pathways. But normally, they're firing all over the place. I can't focus on one thing. That's why I sing, I dance, I play piano. As a creative person, I have lots of different creative interests because I don't find any one thing satisfying for long. That's why I made a YouTube channel to push my creative boundaries. And it feels real good. I always want to be a director. Now I'm directing myself, telling you some truth. So, if you have ADHD, establishing this kind of goal-oriented behavior, getting in your car and driving it around, taking it for a ride, your car can't even leave the fucking garage half the time. And when it does, personally, I have real severe ADHD. I can't even drive in real life because my short-term memory is so fried. Not fried because I did drugs or anything. It's just the way I was born. It could have been because I was slightly deprived of oxygen at birth, though I don't think so. I was born of a C-section. That's named after Julius Caesar. my brother had a tough birth coming out, so my mother, because we were just big ass dudes coming out, poor mom. My brother is 6'7", so yeah, whatever. So, I came out big and strong, but, I was like 12 pounds. I was like 9 pounds, beating up all the other babies, taking their in the ICU because I was premature. Just like, yeah, give me your milk. Yeah, oh wow, I'm so sexy. But I get distracted because I have ADHD. So, cigarettes, a lot of people with ADHD smoke them for that reason. So it's hard to establish goal-oriented behavior, okay? And now, what is goal-oriented behavior? Like I was saying, if you're an alcoholic or a drug addict or you get addicted to heroin, this is pretty much defines your life. I just watched a great documentary on Frontline the other day where they were trying to explain this, and the poor people were saying it controls my mind. I can't explain it. It's because their neural synapses were being triggered because heroin or painkillers, they affect your opioid receptors, which they're opiates. It's a part of your brain which releases dopamine, I believe. So all of a sudden, the only things that give them a rush if they're a heroin addict is a rush, aka a sense of being, a sense of reward, of meeting a goal, is doing fucking heroin and nothing else. And that's because, imagine their car is just, they go out of their garage, their mental process, their goal-oriented behavior. All it is they want to go down to the liquor store or the guy on the corner or whatever, wherever they get their fix from. Or same thing if you just go to 4chan or something awful or one of these hellholes and just troll and drop some dank memes there. Dank memes, it sounds like a drug, doesn't it? So this is where you get drawn. There's this allure to it because your dopamine is going, feed me, and you feed it and it rewards you. This is very, very bad for your mind because before you know it, that's all you think about. That's all you want to do. That's what you wake up for in the morning. That's what you go to sleep at night thinking about. How you're gonna do it again the next day. And maybe you felt like you were born to be a heroin addict or some internet troll, but I don't think I was. So I tried to turn it off for a while. You know what I started doing? Personally, I started listening to lots of podcasts, working out. I stopped doing drugs. I started seeing a psychiatrist. I diagnosed myself with ADHD. I listen to the radio. I stay aware of international news. I talk to people everywhere. And I think of all their problems, and then I think of world problems, and then I'm thinking about how to change the world because that's a goal I have, So, but just thinking of philosophy, all this stuff, it just got imprinted in my mind. And so when I think of a goal, like how do I, what kind of video should I make? I'll have so much stuff when I'm driving my car that I'm looking at the scenery. It's making the journey magical. But if all I did was one repetitive task all day, every day, there wouldn't be much window dressing to look at. Now, before I got medicated for ADHD, which trust me, if it was a Big Pharma conspiracy, someone would have came at me and shoved pills up my ass when I was a toddler. But the thing with me, it's called inattentive type ADHD, which meant that I didn't show, it's only recently a new classification. It means you don't show outward traits of it. You're not hyperactive, even though it's attention deficit hyperactive disorder. They used to call it ADD, but there's all these different classifications. It's a messed up system. But instead of moving my knee and rubbing my leg and just blah, 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 even though I'm like that, I talk. But what's really hyperactive is my mind. My mind never stops. It's hard for me to go to sleep at night. It's hard for me to focus, stay on task. It's hard for me to set up goals and succeed at them because I'll write a to-do list and instantly it falls out of my pocket and lights on fire, and then I'm like, I want a cigarette, fire. I'm all over the place. That's why I dropped out of college twice despite having a high intellect and getting 99 scores on every percentile standardized test, and I was in the honors program at my first university, in New Jersey City University. I ended up failing. I ended up getting straight A's, straight A's, straight F's, straight A's, straight F's, because I would start out for a while, for a couple months, with the goal of getting straight A's, and man, when I set my mind to something, I can succeed at it. So can you, so can anybody. I just thought real hard, how should I get straight A's? Well, I have to do my homework, I have to go to class, I can cut some corners here, but I'll make it up over there, and I'll stay smart and I'll succeed, because that's what success is all about. Setting goals and meeting them. Before I knew it, my goals were just, imagine this is some movie right now, and the goalpost is here, and you could see it just falls out, well, like an anime eye, and I'm in some other fucking galaxy. I don't know what the fuck is going on. And then I ended up going back to college, to a community college that's very good, Bergen Community College. I ended up getting straight A's. All the professors loved me. I was taking classes with the dean. All of a sudden, I couldn't keep up with I forgot to do my registration. I didn't do my Stafford loans. I lived 10 minutes from campus. I couldn't get there on time, so I just stopped going. I kept going on the internet and trolling people instead. I was playing games I didn't even like just because I could kill people in the games, and that was a goal, to get a high sweet KD. That released dopamine, because the dopamine thing stopped firing correctly, because that's what ADHD is. So let me return once more, and for the last time, to my neural highway. So if you have ADHD, all the roads that are connected in your brain, that only when you get to your destination, you get the dopamine thing, and if your serotonin is high, it's like a warm glow when you're driving a nice breeze. If you have ADHD, imagine if there's ice everywhere. And wherever you want to go, whatever goal you set for yourself, whatever you want to do, you're slipping and sliding off the road. You go off the shoulder, you just crack your rear end to somebody next to you. You stop and look at the scenery. Before you know it, is like cycling. It's years later. You're just like, duh, staring at something. That's what ADHD is like. Any goal you set, no matter how petty or how big, how ambitious or how mundane, becomes almost impossible, because your brain isn't firing on all cylinders, is what they call it. And that's true. That's because your dopamine is being siphoned off in parts of your brain, and on top of that, your cerebellum, your lower part of your brain by your neck, they used to think that was just about your balance and your coordination, but modern neuroscience and neuroimaging techniques have shown that that is actually also tied to your short-term memory. And man, have you ever lost your keys, take your keys out of your pocket, put them down and lose them? I bet everyone has. Have you ever done that every day, all day, and you frantically search everywhere and you go, where is my keys? Constantly? Man, then you probably have ADHD, because that's what my life is like. That's because your short-term memory isn't imprinting. I can't even remember where I'm driving half the time, because I can't remember directions too well, because I look at landmarks and it doesn't work. I easily get lost. You know what stopped all this stuff? Well, helped me get it under control by understanding the behaviors that lead to these cognitive flaws of mine and how to work around it. Not just studying the neuroscience and seeing a therapist, but taking Adderall and Vyvanse. There's no Big Pharma conspiracy. Trust me, the people in the farm, I worked for CVS, they care about money, but they get their money from old people that take lots of drugs. A lot of them need it, to survive. This and that is why our life expectancy is so high. That's what Big Pharma gets their money from. Old people that are on 100 drugs at once. Just ask your parents or your grandparents what fucking shit they take. Unless they're Slav, and they just get drunk and watch Nazis die on TV. At least this is what my dad was like. That's what I've been like, whatever. But I started seeing a psychiatrist because I had to overcome the mental health stigma of ADHD being just based on chasing drugs and trying to get high, when I just wanted to succeed in life and be who I am, be who God made me. God made me a creative person that is gifted at piano, guitar. I'm not gifted, I just work at it, and I just have a big imagination. I don't know, the thing is, God made us all the same. We're all people. You just gotta find what you're good at or what you enjoy doing and do it. But if you have ADHD, even doing that is really hard. So you get stuck on the internet, or you become an alcoholic, or you watch stupid shows like Walking Dead all the time, and that's all you can think about. Instead, I started making my own show because I started taking Vyvanse. Ritalin isn't prescribed anymore. A lot of people who had ADHD as kids had bad experiences with Ritalin because there's lots of side effects, and a lot of people think Adderall is something that drug chasers use, because they do, because it goes around college campuses and people snort it or get high off it, and so doctors are hesitant to prescribe it, especially the younger people. However, the pharmaceutical industry developed a drug called Vyvanse, which is highly recommended by psychiatrists because it is an extended release capsule that you can't crush up and snort, and it just regulates you throughout the day, and they're much more willing to prescribe it to people who have symptoms of ADHD, which includes, you can't focus on stuff, you do bad in school, you spend too much time on the internet, you just watch anime all day, or whatever, maybe you smoke weed all the time because that's the only thing that calms your mind down and lets you do stuff you like produce music or whatever. A lot of people back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s used to self-medicate themselves with amphetamines because it used to be provided. You used to be able to get it over the counter in various, because Sudafed is used it's a nasal decongestant, and people make meth out of it. Crystal meth, which is, yes, chemically similar to Adderall, but not the same. It's dangerous for you. But there used to be lots of other things, like for inhalers, for asthma and stuff, because they use similar chemical compositions. I worked at a pharmacy. I studied all this stuff. And the people used to buy it, artists and musicians. This is what the Beatniks, William S. Burroughs and Jack Kerouac, and later on in the 60s, people like Bob Dylan and Paul McCartney, they make jokes about they used to go down to the local pharmacy and just load up on meth products, probably because they had ADHD and they realized this was a great way to self-medicate themselves and fulfill what they were put on earth to do, which was make badass music and awesome poetry. Thing is, a lot of people have ADHD and take medication for it, and they're a lot more successful at what they do. I met a woman at my age who I worked at CVS. She was the manager. She was telling me she was the manager at McDonald's. I was getting fired from jobs like McDonald's. She was my manager at CVS. I could barely hold on to CVS because I was off meds. But we both were chatty Cathys. My mom's named Kathy. She's quite chatty. We like a lot of similar stuff. We got along. One day she mentioned something about Adderall. I was like, oh, that explains a lot. She had ADHD, but she was medicated her whole life, so she rose to the top of things she wanted to do. Well, whereas me was always struggling and stuff, which is totally okay. That's totally fine. I'm aging in reverse nowadays, but I gained a lot of weight because I recently went off my meds for a while. And then I, whatever, this and that. I also have bipolar disorder, apparently. I think I'm just manic all the time, but I get depressed here and there. Whatever. So I take meds for that too. And it's fine because, it keeps me mentally healthy. And I also stay physically healthy by getting exercise, eating right. I smoke cigarettes. That's something I do wrong, but all this stuff works together to make you a better person, to feel happy, satisfied, and be smart and succeed at stuff. And hopefully I'm being successful at telling you right now that ADHD is real. Big Pharma isn't. There is a mental health stigma, so people like me spend years of their lives not fulfilling their potential because they're afraid or being misinformed by people who are misinformed themselves and think they're doing good, or are paid money to intentionally disinform people to not seek treatment. But I'm telling you, if any of this sounds familiar, anything I said sounds like something you can relate to, make an appointment with your local doctor. Hey, Obamacare, everyone has health insurance, right? And if you don't, because you got screwed out of the shitty Obamacare system, maybe you can qualify for Medicaid, because that's what in Minnesota, I qualified for Medicaid. They have a great healthcare system here. If you're a college student, you can get healthcare through them. Healthcare is very important. It's not just for when you get the cold, it's also in case you have any mental or emotional problems that you can make an appointment with a psychiatrist or a psychologist. They're different things. A psychiatrist can prescribe you medication. A psychologist or a therapist can talk to you. They're the ones who are the CBT experts. So I'm not so much an expert in the pharmaceuticology of things. My psychiatrist is, though. And I used to see a therapist, but I studied this stuff in college, and it's what I like, so I can usually think it out to myself, think out my own problems. I started recording podcasts just so I could figure out things that were wrong and that I'm expecting different from myself and from others. And think about it. I started out on my phone. A lot of girls I knew used to write journals and diaries when they were growing up, especially the crazier ones, the ones I like. You know what you can do nowadays? Instead of writing in your notebook, you can just get an app on your phone and talk into it. Get a sound recording app and just talk. People can just think you're on the phone so you don't look crazy. And man, once I started doing this, before you knew it, I started making a YouTube show because I liked the stuff I say. It's funny. So, America, next time, think twice before you hit like and agree, then share with all your friends the latest conspiracy theory about Big Pharma and the big lie of ADHD, because trust me, I don't know if you've studied neuroscience, psychology, and have the life experience that I have to say that you're wrong, but if this hasn't changed your mind, I'm willing to debate just about anything. Thank you, and God bless America. Peace. Turn off the fake news.